Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are still down in Lampasas, Texas for Texas Part 3. If you missed 1 and 2, we've been whacking and a-stacking down here in Texas.
Be careful, there's another one that comes in. Oh, Dad, in the hill country, baby.
But this K2 one right here, that's like he fell down the stairs with a chainsaw. That's a good spike.
Right there, ready?
Oh yeah, an old foul hog. We haven't been even out here but just a couple minutes. Ah! Sorry, sometimes the adrenaline, man, you get pumping. Like when you kill something like that size, you see how big that hog is? That's a big one.
On the next leg of the trip, we're going down to San Antonio, and I'm as happy as a midget at a miniskirt convention to be going down there to see my good friends, the Andersons. We have always killed a lot of stuff down there in San Antonio. All I know is if President Trump does finish that wall he's building, at least leave a javelina-sized hole in it somewhere so they can keep coming in, because they are fun to shoot. You know, we've been coming down to Texas for years and killing stuff, and it's all thanks to my good buddies Tombo Martin and Ryan Langerhans from the Buck Commander. You know, and I can't think about Texas without thinking about my good buddy Rick Carone, who left us way too early, but was an inspiration to us all.
Well, all I did was got into prone position, rushed up, and pulled the trigger on that rifle. And look at this rack. Chocolate horns, nice. Look at this beam, how it sweeps. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
We say our goodbyes in Lampasas and drive through the night down to San Antonio. We linked up with our good buddy Matthew Anderson down there, and they've got a lease down in San Antonio that is just awesome. It's full of javelina. They've got big bucks on it. They've got hogs. They've got rattlesnakes, unfortunately. I remember one of the last times we were down there, we ran into a couple of those rattlesnakes.
Daggone, it ain't 2 snakes. One of the craziest things I've ever done in my entire life, man.
So for the next couple of days, we're gonna be hunting down here on the Andersons lease in San Antonio, and I am excited, man. Anytime you get to walk and stalk, get out in the Texas brush and hunt down javelinas and hogs and who knows what else, it's exciting, man, especially when you got your bow and arrow and you got your diamondback rifle. Couldn't be anything better. We got the whole place to ourselves, and we're fixing to lay some stuff down. That next morning, Matthew puts us in a box blind that's looking down 4 roads, or senderos, as you call them down in Texas. I guess you're close enough to Mexico, you're supposed to speak Spanish. Anyway, it's 4 roads coming together in this box blind, and we don't see much movement. We get a glimpse of a coyote.
I was trying to get him shot, and I think I didn't feel good about it.
You know, after we didn't see much that morning, we decided to get out of the blind, do a little bit of walking and a stalking with the old Hoyt bow and arrow. Sure enough, we get right up to this road, and there's a bunch of javelina out there, and this is going to be the perfect opportunity to slip up on a javelina and get our first kill for San Antonio.
We're just gonna hook this edge. Just stay as close to the trees as we can. And just move when I move, because they really just see motion. They don't really see great.
before we can do anything, these javelinas are right on top of us. We get within 40 some yards of this javelina and it's go time, man. I don't need to get any closer. Let's wear this thing out. I shoot a flicker broadhead, so I mean I can shoot through a brick wall. I'm not too worried about a front shoulder of a little old javelina. When I touched off my bow, my man Cheese wasn't ready. I think he was waiting for me to let that javelina get a little more broadside so he could get a little more steady with the camera. And as we all have done, anybody out there who's filmed, he jumps as soon as I touch my release in that bow and kind of missed the shot.
What? What happened?
Fortunately, we got some Tacticams rolling and they captured the kill shot. Look, whichever camera got it, we got us a javelina down.
Yeah, here you go. Red javelina arrow. Another one for the K2. Got good blood all over it. I'll tell you what, on our next stalk for javelina, I'm putting my snake chaps on too. There he is right there. Man, he didn't go 20 yards maybe. Little rat looking sucker. Pretty crazy, man, little rat. So that's the first kill down here in South Texas. I get so distracted by these little cool critters, I forget we still got some whitetail deer tags. I hit him a little back, but it quartered up into him. I mean, he didn't go 20 yards.
That evening we get back in the same blind because look, there's deer coming by this place. The bad news is for me, as redneck as I am, we have rules of engagement on this hunt. There are certain bucks that I'm not supposed to shoot, like young 10-pointers and young 12-pointers. Young is, you know, a loose term with me. If he looks good and I want to shoot him, that's generally what I do. So we're gonna have to see how this hunt plays out if I'm gonna have to ask for forgiveness in lieu of permission. You know, we're sitting in a box blind that evening, and it doesn't take long before a couple good bucks pop out in the Sendero. Now, here's where we run into a problem. I'm not technically allowed to shoot either one of these deer. They are not on the hit list for the season. I'm allowed a cull buck or a couple other bucks that they showed me. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at rules. I don't particularly care for them. Back where I came from in Fluvanna County, Virginia, we just shot stuff and then ground checked it and called it whatever we wanted, whether it be a cull buck or a trophy or whatever we felt like.
That joker is hugely wide. It's really big. They're looking at the javelinas, not us.
I didn't have time to sample anybody's blood out there or what they were fixing to turn into, so it makes it very hard for a hunter like me who likes to shoot everything to figure out what buck I am and am not supposed to shoot. It's usually good to ask for forgiveness, because at least then you have a buck that you're saying, please forgive me for killing this awesome buck, please. And then if you ask for permission like we did, then they say, no, don't kill that deer. You could have just shot him and pleaded ignorance.
There's no trees around here big enough to get a tree stand in. We may brush a blind in on the ground tomorrow, but it's fun watching these deer at 400 yards, but man, it's frustrating because I want to bleed one out.
These two deer came out in the road, AKA Sendero, and they hung out just a little bit too long. Well, boys and girls, it's about that time on Red Arrow TV for a good old-fashioned doe killing. The light conditions were fading fast, and there was a little bit of a crosswind right to left. This was a long shot, but I felt really confident.
I hit her, for sure hit her. I hit her. I think I hit her forward a little bit of where I wanted to hit her. I think she would end up being 64 yards. The arrow definitely blew through her. You can see it. It passed through her.
That afflictor K2 hit her right in the old jugular. She's not going far. Well, boys and girls, it's about that time on Red Arrow TV for a good old-fashioned doe killing.
I hit her, for sure hit her. I hit her.
I didn't take into account for the crosswind enough. That afflictor K2 hit her right in the old jugular. She's not going far.
Blade's all jacked up, rough, like it hit bone. Let's go find her. There's blood right there. Look, right here, too. Look at how high that is.
So it doesn't look like careful is even in the realm of possibilities on this tracking job, because it is some thick stuff that this doe has done run up in. Now, the good news is she's spraying blood everywhere out of her jugular vein, and it's looking like an awesome blood trail.
Ow. This is amazing. Look at all that blood coming out of her. That is unbelievable.
We're following this blood trail, and all of a sudden the blood trail starts doing these weird circles. We had predators of some type pushing this deer, and it made it do all kind of funky stuff, and it ended up dying in the thickest, nastiest part of this brush. So I'm in snake country, rattlesnake country, crawling on my hands and knees. It's not real good to be like eye level with a rattlesnake. You don't want to get bit up in the neck, face, or chest area.
I think the coyotes were pushing her because it looks like they chewed on her, but we found her right here in all this mesquite thicket. Great big old doe though. I was aiming right here and ended up hitting her right there. She ducked into it. Her neck came down to here and the arrow ended up hitting her. Old 64-yard doe kill, baby. Nothing wrong with that. I said before I shot, I said, you know what? It's a little bit windy and it's starting to get dark, but I believe in myself, and luck favors the bold. And we got lucky with a good old throat cutting neck shot at 64 yards. But a throat punch on a doe apparently works. We're gonna go ahead and cut her up in the woods and pack her meat out, because this mesquite thing, it's almost impossible for us to walk through. We had to crawl on our hands and knees to get in here.
So we finally find my deer. Unfortunately, the darn coyotes or the bobcats or something had gotten to her hind end and taken a couple chunks out of it, but we found her early enough. We cut all the bad parts out that the predators had chewed on, and we had us a doe, man. We had one for the meat locker.
Well, it's a shame that the coyotes got some of my deer, but at least we got a little bit of it. Had to use the stars to find our way out of here, I think. We didn't get all of the deer back, but we got some of it. Bobcat or coyote chewed the back hams off of it. I mean, I shot that thing. 30 minutes later, both our hams are gone.
We're bad.
We might need to wear out some predators, man.
Yeah, we can do it.
We figured we wanted to be closer to the action because I had my Hoyt and my Diamondback, so I wanted to be more in the mix for a bow kill. We saw some javelinas come out the night before, so we took our wicked tree gear and we made a makeshift ground blind out of brush between the blind we hunted in the night before and where we were seeing the deer and the javelina. I really prefer to shoot a javelina with my bow and arrow if I could. I'll shoot a deer with anything, and a big enough hog comes out, I'm gonna shoot that with anything. But we wanted to get on the ground right up eye level with these critters and see what we could do with the bow and arrow. We left and got a little lunch, and we're creeping back into our brush blind, and we run into the javelinas that we saw the day before.
They're there.
They're looking around, but not at us. They're just looking.
This was a cool hunt, man. These javelina came up. I got 35 yards on this one, drew back, smoked him, man. He went to chopping and a spinning.
That's a corn-eating fool right there. Feeding these deer protein and antler king and corn and stuff. These javelinas suck it up like a vacuum cleaner. I smoked his butt, son. That broadhead, if you look, is coming out right here on the, he's poking through the skin right there. Quartering away, just slipped it right in there, perfect.
So now we're all packed up. We're leaving San Antonio. We're heading north to Franklin, Texas to see the rest of the Anderson clan and maybe get one last-minute hog hunt in before we got to go home to Virginia. We didn't have a whole lot of time in Franklin, Texas. It was time to get back home and see the wife and kids, but Daniel said, go across the street to Brian's place. He's been seeing a bunch of hogs, and he'll kind of point you in the right direction.
Stay left, right here.
Now, apparently there's a big group of hogs that have been moving all through Brian's place. So we get out on foot. We don't have a lot of time, so we take the Diamondback, and as soon as we get in range of a big hog, we're gonna pop it.
Right on top of us.
We get to the first food plot to check it out, and there's a few deer, a few young bucks in it, but no hogs. We leave that food plot and we're heading to this wheat field where the hogs like to root and tear everything up, and sure enough, we spot a big group of hogs at about 500 or 600 yards away.
I'll make it to right up here where I can get a good rest.
I got my DB10 with me, so I start crawling up on my belly a little bit so where I can get my bipod set up and get a good anchored shot on one of these big hogs. There's a couple hogs in this pack that are massive.
Just crawl up a little bit. To the left, you see him?
Man, it's hot and muggy. The rain's coming down. Everything's starting to fog up. Visibility is getting like really difficult. The cameras are getting wet, and we're crawling up on these hogs. We finally get within 300 yards, and it looks like I'm gonna get a shot at the biggest one. All I had when I laid down in this wheat field, all I had was about yay much of the hog's back. So I was having to like swing the bullet along the ground to get to the vitals of this hog. So I was definitely gonna hit it high shoulder or probably more like spine. But hey man, with a 308, that's enough.
Oh, 308s, I got dirt and where I was crawling. It's awesome, man. I love hog hunting, man. Love it. Let's go look, see what we did. 'Cause I think we're about to get dumped on bad. It's a big old sow. I thought it was a boar. I couldn't see but midway up its body. About 300 yards over there, we stalked these hogs.
This hog was absolutely huge, man. I couldn't even believe it. We got it done. We only had a couple hours to hunt. Got it done on the last leg of Texas, man.
That is a big old sow. That is a producer right there. I mean, a big old sow. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Thunderstorms riding down on us. It's starting to pour rain now. And we got to skedaddle, go get the general, pick her up. And that was just a fun stalk, man, down here in Texas, doing a little hog hunting. You need to get you some, man, because these things are a problem. They get out here, you see this pretty green field. These things find it, and it's not pretty or green anymore.
What a great way to end the Texas trip, killing a monster hog.
Look at that. A couple of Schwarzeneggers.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing like Texas. It's a target-rich environment like no other. If you've never tried it, you have to get down here and try it. I mean, it's year-round hunting. There's always something to kill and multiple somethings to kill. We got to give a big thanks to the Anderson family and our good friends in Franklin, Texas, and all you guys. We love y'all. We'll be back down there real soon. And we had a big time in Lampasas with Keith and Braxton as well. Can't wait to get back down to Texas. In the meantime, boys and girls, y'all don't forget to stop by the Red Arrow online store. Show your love, show your support, rock some Red Arrow gear. Show you're a part of the Red Arrow Army and you like killing critters and turning arrows red. And you don't care what people thinks about you. Love y'all. We'll see you next week.